the best thing, like long-term success is going to be growing, like building your attractive character, building your brand. Because if you got a brand, you can just do a ton of pull marketing and you can just obviously have clients come in and flock into you. And if you're sort of someone that doesn't want to do that, then you need to really sort of look at yourself in the mirror and realize, like, why don't you want to do it? Because attention is the new oil at the end of the day. And the reason that my agency's doing over 400 grand a month is because I've got a personal brand. And I didn't start there. I didn't start in that position with a personal brand. And you don't have to have your own personal brand, but you should try and find someone that can be the face of your brand, because people trust people. And it just is going to make your life way easier in the future. Like now, every day I wake up to 5 to 10 DMs from models who've seen a TikTok or seen a YouTube or seen a reel, and they're like, can I work with you? Now, I'm not saying they're all quality. Probably one of them out of the 10 is quality, sometimes none. But like, the difference is, like, I've got these people reaching out to me because I'm doing pull marketing, and because like they see me, they see my face, they see my expertise, so they want to work with me. And then also other girls that see me refer those girls, and it's just like once you get to that stage, it's so easy. Like finding clients should not be the difficult part, and it's only going to be difficult if you're just doing outreach from an agency page and nothing else. Like you've got to get creative. There's so many ways to do client acquisition. You can work with, ask past and present clients to work with you and do referrals. Like you can start referral programs. Like there's just a ton of stuff you could do. And you could even get fancy and start like a short form sort of like page where you create, just like, if you don't want to be the face of your brand, then just start creating like content that provides a ton of value to OnlyFans creators, and just use a fucking AI voice, like if you really want to go down that route. But at the end of the day, like I said, people trust people, so it's going to be key for everyone to start looking into themselves. And also then, if you do have a personal brand or you build a personal brand around someone, you can always like pivot and use that for anything you want. Like even if you're not doing OnlyFans, like the real way to get rich in the next 10 years is having a personal brand. Like the top people in the space understand that. That's why Hamosi does what he does. That's why E-Man does what he does. Like you don't even have to be good at business if you have a personal brand and you have attention. Like it's just ridiculous. So like that's something that everyone should really start to take seriously if you're serious about becoming extremely wealthy in the next 5 to 10 years, because we're in an attention economy, and the only two sides of the story that's going to be the next billionaires, trillionaires, is going to be people that either have personal brands and attention, or people that start AI companies and do coding. Like those are the two new gold rushes, the two new like oil companies of this century, is like AI companies and like fucking personal brands. And if you haven't got either of those, then you're not setting yourself up in a good position. So that's like where I would sort of say there, and just play the long-term game rather than like just trying to do outreach and just that's it. Axie, what's up, bro?
Yeah, what's up, Dylan? Yeah, man. First of all, congratulations for the program, man. I thought that, that like the program wouldn't be able to help me as much as I thought it could. Because like personally speaking, I've been in other businesses as well. I've been in the Instagram theme pages thing, and I've personally noticed that from a business point of view, I got way more results not doing a course, but like more of a mentorship. And I didn't have enough for the mentorship back then, so the course is actually working. I'm making my first 1K now, so it's going pretty good. My question for you was, I actually I hired a Reddit marketer, and I was actually wondering, maybe some people are in my situation, like the situation when you have chatters, you have marketers for different socials. How do you manage them being like, for sometimes like procrastination? How do you manage like you keep them motivated, and what's the best mindset and how to like optimize everything when it comes to outsourcing hires, chatters, marketers, everything else, basically? That's like my question for you.
Are you doing it, like, is it just you doing it, like running the entire ship, or have you got a business partner, or like what's the structure look like?
Basically, I was buying Reddit accounts, like eight Reddit accounts with over 10K karma on Telegram. And once I bought this account, I was referred to really good marketers on Reddit from other agency owners. And these marketers would use the account using Go login, and they would go do the marketing on it, and then they would basically get a cut for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the strategy.
So is your main thing having, so you is your main struggle like having your like the people that you manage in your team, like they are procrastinating, or you procrastinating?
I'm not procrastinating. Is sometimes that like once one of my marketer on one of the accounts of Reddit, she said she fell asleep, so she wasn't able to do the marketing, which meant that we've lost some potential subs and money along the way. So, like if you have systems or some kind of mindsets to make sure that this kind of situation rarely, if not never happens,
Yeah,
if you know
there's a
what I'm
couple of
saying.
yeah. There's a couple of things I got on this. So first thing is going to be like talent in the first place, like making sure you're hiring the right talent. But that's just a bullshit answer that this is an easy way out, right? But if you want to like fix your current team and try like you really want to like get them motivated, firstly, like you really need to look into leadership theory. Like I can send, if you drop me a message in the chat after this, I can send you a little PDF on like leadership theory, because that's a big thing of like running growth teams. That's like a really big, like I can cover it in this call. It's massive. But like in reality, like what you need to do is really like I gamify everything. So like I gamify absolutely everything in my agency to make sure that I get the most out of everyone on my team, including chatters, including our marketers. And what that means is every single day, like we set targets for every division. So like our company's split up into 7 divisions. Now, obviously, you're not going to start with a 7 division organization, but let's just say your Reddit marketer, for example, you need to gamify their work, because otherwise they're just going to get bored. And you have to understand that people are not going to be as motivated as you are to grow your thing. Like they just work for you. So like, for example, you're a unicorn, right? This is how I put it. Like you're a unicorn. So let's just say when you was doing the marketing, you're getting results you're happy with, or when you were doing the chat and you were getting results you're happy with. And then when you hire someone to replace you, they're not going to do as they're like 90% of the time they're not going to do as well as you, right? And that's an issue that a lot of people have. It's like, well, I may as well just do it myself. Like if you want it done right, do it yourself. But that's like a really bad mindset, because the issue is like you're saying, I'm a unicorn, I need to find a unicorn to replace me, when in reality where it should be is, okay, I'm a unicorn, I might need to find 3 competent people just to replace me. So like if you do a task, you get outsized results because it's your agency, it's your thing, it's your company, and then you outsource it to someone, they're not doing as well. That should almost be expected. And you need to look at it like, well, if I'm not getting the same results with this one person as I was on my own, maybe I need to hire 2 more of them. And now I've got 3 people instead. And now they're getting the same results that I was getting on my own. Because in reality, like finding a unicorn, like in any position in your company is going to be extremely difficult, because all those people are either running their own businesses or getting paid a shit ton of money at big companies. So like that's the first little thing. That's like the biggest unlock I had when it came to hiring. Now, in terms of like keeping your team motivated that you already have, like I said, it comes down to playing games. So let's just take your Reddit people, for example, right? Like your Reddit marketer, you need to be setting targets you need to be in communications every single day, and you need to be setting them targets and goals, right? So this is called game theory, which is also something you can look into. So pretty much what you're going to be doing is you're going to be like, right, if you this is me speaking to the Reddit person, right? Like, right, if we bring in 10 subs through this tracking link today, that's the target. Like our target is 10 subs today, then I will do XYZ. Like you give them some little reward. Like it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but you give them some little reward. Well, but so let's just say you're at scale, right? Let's just say, right, if you bring in 200 subs today from Reddit, then I'll buy you movie tickets, or I'll buy you a steak dinner, or like little like game things like that. And then you have targets and goals. So targets is something that need to be hit. So let's just say when you was doing it, you was bringing in like 20 subs a day or 30 subs a day. Like, all right, that's the target. That can be hit because I've done it. I've seen that I can do it. So that needs to be hit. So you set that target for your Reddit marketer. If they don't hit the target, that's when you really need to look at like, all right, maybe they didn't hit it one day, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. If they didn't hit it the second day, the third day, the fourth day, that's either when you need to look into hiring more of them, getting rid of them and hiring new talent, hiring more of them, or retraining them. So like actually training them on, like these are clearly some things that are missing. Like you need to work on these stuff if we want to get these results. So you have targets which need to be hit every day, and then you have goals. Now goals you don't have to hit every day, but it would be nice if you hit them. So like for example, let's just say your target was, I want to bring in 100 subs a day on Reddit, and your goal is I want to bring in 150 subs that day. If they hit the goal, then they get a bigger bonus. So like you can give them maybe I don't know how you pay them, but you could give them like a little pay bonus. You could give them an extra percentage of commission of the subs. You could, like I said, buy them movie tickets, buy them a dinner, like for the girlfriend. Like there's tons of different things you can do. You just need to find ways to gamify your organization. And we do the same with chatters. Like every single day, like we have our chatting group, and it's literally called the Wolf's Den. And we have our VA that runs the group. And then every day our chatters are putting in the group, like we set a target of right, guys, today's target is $50,000 in messages, cash collected. The goal is 70,000. And then we incentivize them like, right, if we hit this goal, you're all gonna get a steak dinner with your girlfriend tonight on us. Or like we'll message the individual chatters and be like, yo, you're gonna get we'll buy you movie tickets for you and your girl if you hit your personal targets. You can have team targets and personal targets. You can have maybe the personal target in the group chat, like I said, is 50K, and then I can message everyone individually and be like, right, your personal target, you need to collect 5K today. If you do collect 5K, then I'll get you XYZ or give you XYZ reward, right? So that keeps people motivated. And that way, like if you look at our chatting group, like throughout the day, like all our chatters are hitting up in the WhatsApp group being like count. So they write count, and then we have our VA that posts the count. So the count is to keep them motivated and to gamify it even more, to where like our chatter will come in and be like count. Let's just say we're 8 hours into the chatting day. One of our chatters will come in, type count, and then our VA will send like the target. So it'll be like, right, the target was obviously, let's just say 50K, and we're 25K off that target. So now the chatters know, right, guys, we gotta go and collect another 25K. And then they'll put count, right, 15K left. Now there's 6 hours to the day left. They'll put count, 10K left, guys, 6 hours, we gotta collect 10K. And then that way, like you're gamifying the entire chatting process, and you're just making like your organization. Like before we did the gamifying, let's just say we would collect like 20K cash in a day. As soon as we added the gamifying aspect, we literally like doubled our chatting, because everyone was just like working so much harder. Everyone actually enjoys what they do. Like it makes a massive difference. Like gamifying your organization, like it's human psychology. Like humans love games. If you find those competitive people, and then you add like one-to-one incentives, like you go and talk, like you have the, like I said, the group chat goal and target, but then you're also hitting the individuals up on like a one-to-one, and you're like, bro, you're the best chatter we have. I need you to go and collect 10K today. If you do that for me, I'm gonna buy you a steak dinner for you and your girl. And then that way, like you're not only incentivizing them through the group, but you're also incentivizing them all one-to-one, and like really sort of playing into their ego a bit. And then they'll go and perform, and they'll go and put in 100% effort. Whereas like if you didn't do it, they might like really half-ass chatting, they might be on their phone and chatting, whereas now they're like fucking motivated to just go and make some bread. And that's going to make a big difference if you do that. Does that answer your question, bro?
Yeah, bro, definitely. The thing is, like I have one chatter for one account at the moment and one Reddit marketer. I'm basically doing the TikTok and the Instagram myself. And for the Reddit, I have someone as well as one chatter. The thing is with Reddit, we did the verification and stuff. We're still getting like a few subs a day. I really want to go up to 30, 40, even 50 subs a day using Reddit, but we're still waiting on the verification. But like the way you said about gamifying everything and making like giving those little targets and like reaching them one by one is really something that I'm going to implement for sure. Definitely. Thank you.
That's it. No worries, no worries. Got any other questions? Anyone else got something? No one's got anything. No one's got anything. Is there anything I've missed in the Steve? Have you seen the chat? Is there anything I've missed in the chat?
No, just you get an update. Eminem talked about Reddit, obviously started mass banning, that's a thing. In terms of like if you or people are buying up votes now on Reddit, and it's become something that Reddit mods have noticed. Everybody knows that Reddit mods are cancer. The egos are massive to compensate for the thing that they don't have. So that's becoming a problem in Reddit. But a nice thing to learn about on Reddit is for everybody is that negative press on Reddit is twice as powerful as positive press on Reddit. So downvotes are actually much more effective than upvotes. Take from that what you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's definitely not something that I've been doing. And yeah, and Ellis has just put another one in there. Mate, what's the best way to get started after you've finished the course? Is a one-man band?
Yeah. So if you're just starting, the best thing to do, like if I was starting from scratch again, the first thing I would do, honestly, is I wouldn't be a one-man band just because like it's just more difficult. Like I would go and find a running mate straight away. A running mate is just someone that you can like be business partners with, run the organization with you. They are a jack of all trades. They can kind of do everything. They have the same mindset as you. Maybe it's a friend, maybe someone in your family, whoever that is. Like I would 100% always recommend finding a business partner because that just takes the load off you. And it's just you will just grow a lot faster. So I would go and find a business partner, in my honest opinion. Now, you can do it yourself. Obviously, I've got tons of students that run it themselves, and fair play to them. Like, we've got Luca who's doing like 80K a month and he did it himself, which that's sick. But for me personally, I would rather go and do it with a business partner rather than on my own. It's like, yeah, I could do it on my own, but I'm going to be working 20 hours a day to get the same results that I could get for working 8 hours a day if I had a business partner, right? So like that's like sort of how I look at it. That's the first thing I would do is get a business partner. Then you need to really start dialing in your attractive character, like working on whether it's going to be your personal brand or building a brand around someone to be the face of your agency. That's going to be like the next big steps that I would start to take as soon as possible. I would start really like pushing out some content, just really getting some practice. Then I would create a lead magnet straight away. Like I would create something of value that I could give to models in return for their contact information. That's going to be key because you always want to have owned traffic. Like you want to own as much attention and traffic as you can. So I would create some type of lead magnet. Then once I've got a business partner, I've got my lead magnet. I'm starting to work on my brand and my attractive character. That's when I then start looking into client acquisition methods. Like I touched on at the start of the call, like there's a fucking ton of client acquisition methods that you could look into. That's when I would start doing that. Then once I've started to get some lead flow and I'm starting to speak with clients, I might even offer, if I was starting again, I didn't have no testimonials, no case studies, I might offer a model, like my pitch might be reaching out to models and offering to work for free just to get a case study. Like, if I work for you for free for blah, 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 could I get a case study? Or like even positioning it from more position of power where like you can act like you've got this big agency, but your offer could be, rather than saying like, I want to work for free, because that's kind of like no one really gives a fuck, to position it in a way where it's like, yeah, we do a 1 month free trial of working with us. And then at the end of that 1 month, you can decide what you want to do, whether you want to continue or whether you want to leave. And that 1 month free trial, no strings attached, you're going to get all the income. We're going to like do all the work on your behalf. And like at the end, we'd love a case study from you. If not, no worries. Like I would potentially play it that way, maybe do a 2 week free trial instead of a month, just so I can like get some practice sort of like under my belt of like understanding how everything works. And then also I could obviously then get a testimonial, I could use the results, I could get a case study. So then when I do start getting more leads coming in, more clients that I want to work with, I've now got like some actual credibility, and some like proof of concept I can do where I say I'm going to do. And then yeah, I would first start working with like smaller models, like making anywhere from like zero to, I wouldn't do zero, I'd say they need to have like at least some OF experience. Like I would start realistically looking for models that are doing like 500 to 5K a month. I wouldn't go any bigger than 5K a month. And then I would start working with those models. And then I would mainly focus on one platform, being TikTok. I wouldn't try and do anything else like Reddit or Twitter. I would just focus on specifically TikTok, which I don't want to spread my focus too thin. I would specifically only work with a maximum of 3 clients, and I would get all those clients unreasonable results. So if I took them on when they were making $1,000 a month, I would spend 3 months growing those 3 clients to 10, 20K a month. And then only then would I start to like really like bring on more clients. Or even then I might still just work with those clients and get them to scale to 6 figures a month. You don't want to be signing a ton of clients. Like I would realistically only work with like 2, 3 clients max until I scale those to 6 figures a month. Like even Steven that's in you now, like you could like, that's pretty much kind of what you did, right? Like if you give a rundown on like your journey from you started 9 months ago when you joined my program, and
Yep.
you worked with one client, scaled that one client to wherever she's doing, and now you're fucking making bread.
Yeah, like so I started in January working with Dylan, and I picked up one client, and I just focused my entire energy into that client. She was doing zero. She was a brand new client. She's brand new on OF. And we built her TikTok first, so we built her up to, you know, what, 500k followers, 600k I think she's at now. But on that journey from, like, you know, 20k to 500k, we developed our OnlyFans business into a six-figure business monthly as well. And then when I was confident that I could do that twice, someone's driving. As well put me off. Sorry. When I was confident in that single client, effectively, we then moved on and started recruiting other clients and repeated the formula. And the thing that we recognised, because what I do is I'll double answer here. Ellis has asked a second question: what would you recommend they do? Pick stuff that people are effectively good at. That's what I did. So I hired my sister and my brother-in-law and created a triangle basically that I could sit on top of, and I would make all the decisions and they would execute that. So, like, my sister Nicole runs the operations part of the business and she handles the charters because all my charters are women. And the other pillar of the business is Jordan, my brother-in-law, who handles the talent management part of the business. And I just figure stuff out. So I connect to other agencies and I think up content ideas, and that's how my business is structured. But when we started like that, and we've always been like that, and we just develop one client at a time now. And don't get me wrong, we've got about 10 clients on board at the minute. Some of them are big clients and some of them are development clients, but they all follow the same pattern. Like in month one, we do maybe 5K. In month two, they do 10K. In month three, they do 20K. By month six, they're doing 75K plus, and that's pretty much the formula we work on. And we just obviously try and retain the clients for as long as possible. What I have learned is that OF models have got a short lifespan, so never stop prospecting.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a big mistake that we made, is like stopping prospecting, stopping lead flow, like when we first started. And then like we was doing around 150k a month at the time. We had like two really big clients that were like the majority of their revenue. And then both those clients left us for no reason whatsoever. Like literally we took them from, you know, 5k a month to 60, 70k a month, and they just decided to leave. And like that's something I realized, all the big models we work with, like making over 30, 40k a month, they have a short lifespan. You will find gems that will, like, we've got models that are doing, you know, like 150k a month that have been with us since the start pretty much, but like those are harder to come by. And that's a lot more effort. But like you will have those loyal girls that just stick with you, but then you will get girls that just have shiny object syndrome and like want to jump from one agency to the next, and they always get stuck around like 40, 50k a month mark and never exceed it. And some of them will even reach back out to you and like want to work with you again. Like we've had clients that have left us and then come back to us. But it's like, yeah, a lot of the girls have short. Client retention is something that we massively focus on now, so that doesn't happen, because you can obviously stop that from happening. And it's not always just down to your service delivery, it's just down to a lot like communication, the incentives that they have, like even gamifying it for the clients as well, to where like once they hit certain targets, you can, you know, lower percentages or even give them bonuses if they do TikToks and blah blah blah. Like there's tons of different client retention like hacks that you can do. But that's a big thing, is if you stop prospecting and a big client leaves you and you've got no one in the pipeline, you're just going to be at a standstill for a while and it's going to be fucked. So like, yeah, I've learned that the hard way. Like you can scale very fast in this business. Like we've had a month where 1 month we're doing 150k a month. This is like over a year ago. And then like our two big clients leave us and now we're like making 20 grand a month and we're like, what the fuck? But then within 6 months we're back up to where we was anyway. But it's just like it's a scary situation to be in. So like client retention is massive. Because if you have a high churn rate, like you're just always going to be in the cycle of like looking for new clients and signing new clients and leaving and signing and leaving and signing and leaving. You're going to make like a ton of short money. And don't get me wrong, like it might be nice making like 150 grand a month and then lose it. And then the next month now you're only making 20 grand. It's like, yeah, I've still made 150 grand in a month, but like that's not a sustainable business model, because as your expenses go up, as your income goes up, your expenses go up. So like it's, yeah, you've got to focus on client retention and really like make it unreasonable for them to want to leave. Like you need to cover everything at that high level. Like obviously a lot of you guys might not be in that position right now, but when you get to that position, you need to make like your service delivery as good as possible. You need to make it unreasonable for them not to want to work with you. Like, even if it comes down to shit like giving them fucking the girl therapists, like it's just like literally it can be anything, just like wherever you can do to keep client retention, like it's going to be key of just like creating the best culture, the best environment, the best like workplace. That's going to be the big thing, because yeah, like there's a lot of agencies out there that are really, really big, like Adam 22's agency, that can sort of like offer stuff that a lot of agencies can't offer. So like, for example, we lost a big client to Adam 22's agency because they pretty much have a monopoly where they run all the biggest OnlyFans models, Sky Bree, Riley Reid, like all these big stars. And they're like, well, you can just come work with us and collab with us. And like, you can just collab with all these models. So like, you need really loyal models when it gets to that level, because yeah, that's like a big thing. Client retention's massive. So don't sleep on that. Don't sleep on prospecting. Always keep your pipeline full. Even if you're in a position where you're comfortable, you're happy making 10, 20 grand a month, you're like, yeah, I don't need any more clients. Like, always keep the pipeline full regardless. A book I'd 100% recommend reading is called Fanatical Prospecting. And that just explains the importance of like always prospecting, always keeping the pipeline full, because it might not affect you. Like, let's just say you stop prospecting month one, you might not you won't see it affect you month one, you won't see it affect you month two, but then month three, you'll be like, fuck, why are our results dropping, or why is it like less lead flow, or like all these things. You'll be like, oh fuck, it's because we stopped prospecting like a month ago and it's only now hitting us. And then if a client leaves on top of that, you're like, now you're really fucking in the bin. So I'll put the name of the book in chat. I think it's by Jeb Blunt.
Dylan, Ellis has asked a phenomenal question here, right? And it's probably one of the most important questions in my opinion. It's one that appears in the group all the time. He says, would you say working with a new OF model would be better for your first model, as they don't know how much of it they could be making, whereas an experienced model who's making 1K a month would be expecting more money, if that makes sense? But I'd reword that question as what is the ideal first client? I've got an answer for this question, but should you effectively be targeting smaller models over larger models as your first client, in your opinion?
As your first client, I would 100% target smaller models, a million percent. Like, it doesn't make sense. A lot of people will just like jump into the business and be like, oh, I can sign a girl with 20 who's making 20 grand a month, or like, oh, I want to look for girls that are signing 20, 30 grand a month, because they think like they're just going to be able to take 50% and make money easy more. But it doesn't work like that at all. And you're just going to end up fucking yourself. And like, if you have one girl like that and you end up signing them, and then they just ruin your entire like agency's reputation, and it's just not a good place to be. Like, I would always start, like, when you start out, you need to start working with like newer models. And like Stephen is the perfect example of like the path you need to take. Like, you need to work with one model that's like got a good work ethic, that you've got aligned goals with. That's a big thing as well. Like, people always talk about like, models being lazy, and I would like, yeah, there are models that are extremely lazy, don't get me wrong, but like at the end of the day, take accountability for everything. Like, why are they lazy? And take accountability for everything, and being like, right, well, maybe you should have done a better job explaining the vision to them of what their life could be like if they do these actions. And you should have also got them to set tangible goals. Like, Stephen, you could probably touch on this, of what you did with your first model, where you got her to set goals, and she worked really hard because now there's actually something in the physical universe that she wants to go after and she's working towards, rather than just making extra money. Like, money is an end all be all. Like, you don't want to just be like, you could be making 20 grand a month, 30 grand a month. Like, you need to attach meaning and reason behind those goals. And that's going to be like a big thing. But definitely start working out with like smaller models, and just take the path Stephen's take of work with one smaller model, scale her up to 3, 4, 5K first month, then second month might be 10, 15, maybe 20K, third month might be 30K. You might hover at 30K for a bit while you're trying to figure out some stuff and hire some people, and then you might stay at 30K for 3 months, and then the fourth month you might hit 50K, and you just want to scale that way and naturally progress. And once you've done it for one client, then like Stephen said, that you can do it for other clients, and then you can start to replicate that process. Then you might want to sign your second girl, do the same with the second girl, then your third girl, do the same with her, and so on, so on. But yeah, Steve, if you want to touch on like your goal setting process.
I think as well, just inside that, what Dylan was saying there was, there's a really key thing to take, which is if you are building a model, right, and you start on your own. So going back to that one-man band point, you're a one-man band, so you don't have any chatters. You're doing the chatting, you're doing the marketing, you're doing the whole dance, right? As that model scales and you begin to develop that account, you can then afford to bring in those staff. You can you can operationalize effectively. You bring those chatters in, which then frees up your time so you can work on another model. If you try and take on a model that's making, 20K a month, you already need operational elements in place to absorb that model. And I've said it in a couple of different chats now where people have asked the question. It's like, oh, I'm going to just take on this model that's making 20 bags and I'm going to be rich. No, you're not. She's going to drop you in 5 minutes because you can't give her a 24/7 chat service. You can't give her like the depth that she needs on social media support. Like you don't have the staff to look after her constantly because you need to be in contact with your model all the time, which then folds into that goal setting piece where I sit down with all my models, and I'm starting to back away from this now because I've got someone to do it for me. But I've got a formula by which I sit down with the model, and we assess what they want the money for. I won't work with anybody if they just tell me they want money. I don't like it because they don't know what they're doing. If you say, oh, I just want a bunch of money, and you don't know what it's for, then you're not going anywhere and you're not going to make any money either. Money's an accelerant. It gets you places faster, it gets you stuff faster, it takes you where you need to go faster. But if you don't know where you're trying to go, you're going to go nowhere anyway. Even if you get the money, it doesn't make a difference. And that's why I sit with the models in that space, and we run through an exercise where we determine what their objectives are, and then we break those objectives down into business and personal goals. So if she says, oh, one of my objectives is to buy an LV bag, I'm like, right, cool, but what purpose does that serve? Why are you going to do that? And then if they're thinking about, oh, well, it's for content, because then I can use it in my videos, I can do this, I can do that. Or one of my models wanted a boob job. She was like, right, I want to get my tits done. And I'm like, right, cool. How much is that going to cost us? Right, it's going to be about 10 bags. So we're going to spend 10 bags, but what's that going to do for the business? How is that going to help us both in our partnership? And how is that going to help you? She's going to feel better about herself because it's something she wants to do. She's not happy with her tits, so she's going to get them done. But from my perspective, I'm saying to her, okay, but that's going to be good for the business as well. We can do TikToks on that. We can do Reddit content on that. We can then sell that on OF. So it's a good business objective as opposed to you just buying that bag. For example, you spend 5 bags on a bag. It doesn't have the same impact. So the boob job is higher priority than buying a bag. Buying the car is higher priority than X, Y, and Z, stuff like that, basically. So figuring out not only how you can add value to the business, but it adds value to them personally as well if you invest that time and effort by giving them that solid advice and taking them to a place where they can measure effectively what they have achieved over time. Because when you look at it objectively, like I've got accounts that I started and I've made nearly 400 grand on them, and the girls are sitting like, I don't fucking know what's happened here. Like, where's all the money? And I'm like, we spent it all. We've spent it all on objective growth. We spent it all on, oh, we bought this, we bought that, and everything that we bought has resulted in us making more money every single time. So you got to think strategically. It's not just, you don't just go to Bali and piss it up the wall, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And a big thing as well, like going off that point, it's kind of ties into it a bit, but like when you're like signing clients, when you're starting your agency, like there's a couple of things that like really help me sort of achieve and hit all the goals I wanted. And it's called a pre-mortem. So like if you think of like a post-mortem, which is like, once someone dies, the doctors deciphers like, right, how did they die? What was the reasons? Blah blah blah. In business, like something I learned like early on, luckily was something called a pre-mortem. And it's literally like a strategic technique to identify and mitigate the potential risks and challenges before your business even begins, right? So like if you're in the early stages, it's super key to do it. And it's like I said, the concept of a pre-mortem is derived from the idea of a post-mortem analysis, which is conducted after a project or endeavor has failed to determine the causes of failure, right? So in a pre-mortem, the participants, or you guys, will need to imagine that the project, your business, right, has already failed or experienced a significant setback. And then you would work backward to identify the reasons of why that failure occurred, right? So it's like an exercise, and that exercise helps uncover the potential pitfalls, weaknesses, and risks that might not have been adequately considered during the planning phase, right? So when you start a business, you always want to go through that pre-mortem of like, right, you're imagining the business has failed. The business has failed. What are all the reasons that it could have failed? And then you look at those reasons, and then you identify and build mechanisms around those reasons. So an example off the top of my head, right? If you're unable to find good chatters, and that's one of the reasons that it's failed. Now, how can I build a mechanism to avoid that failure? Like, what can I do to make sure that that doesn't happen when I start the business or when I'm going through the business? Maybe a failure scenario is I'm unable to generate leads, right? Okay, we're unable to generate leads, and that's caused the business to fail. What things can we build, or what things can we do to make sure that doesn't happen? We're unable to close sales calls, could be another one. We're having all these leads, but like we have a terrible close rate. Like our close rate's below 10%. Right. Okay, cool. That's a reason the business failed. What's all the reasons what's all the reasons why it's failed, and what can we build around that to make sure that we do have better sales calls? You know, is it going to be a better script? Is it going to be to actually do some sales training, maybe buy a sales program? Like, there's a ton of stuff that you can do, and a pre-mortem is going to be super important. And that's like a big thing. So it's super important to do that, because then you can really start to like leverage your business. And yeah, this is just going to be, it's going to be massive for you to like really think about that, because it just literally figures out all the paths that is going to guarantee failure, and then how do you actually like get around those, right? So you could use it at time, like we use it quarterly. So like quarterly, like 4 quarters of the year, quarterly, we will literally come together, and I take a day to set a target for my company, and then write as many pitfalls as I can that will guarantee failure. So every quarter we all come together. Right. Last quarter we did $1 million in profit. Okay, sick. Now let's take a day where we're going to set a target for the company and write as many pitfalls as possible that would guarantee failure. And then every leader in my organization writes the obstacles that would guarantee failure. So Jack is writing the obstacles. Adam is writing all the obstacles. Dean, me. We're writing all these obstacles that would guarantee failure, and then we meet to figure out. So like that's obviously like I'll get all the guys to do that, and then we'll meet on a Zoom meeting or even in person sometimes, and we'll meet to figure out how can we avoid all these failures. And you can also use it as well to create no-brainer offers and mechanisms for your clients. So like you can create an ideal transformation that you know your clients desire based off these pitfalls. So like if there's an issue with, you know, your client is struggling with subs and you can't get her subs and your business has failed because of that, right? What mechanisms can we build around so our clients are so fucking happy with the amount of subs that they're getting, that I can make an even better offer and maybe take a higher percentage, or maybe like sign a more in-depth contract. Like there's tons of little things you can do. So like a pre-mortem is almost like the key to really having any successful business. And you can even go as far then as well. We obviously do the same thing for our clients, where we will list out all the things that would guarantee that our clients will never experience that desired transformation, right? So so one for your clients is create an ideal transformation that you know your clients desire. 2 is going to be list out all those things that would guarantee that my clients never experience their desired transformation. And 3 is going to be, then you need to create your mechanism or offer that guarantees that these obstacles will get removed from your clients' paths, right? So that's like how you want to do it. You know, you start with a scenario creation, then you go with a brainstorming failure factors, then you're going to have a group discussion, and then you're going to go into risk mitigation, right? So that's like how you want to go about it. If anyone wants me to dive a little bit deeper into like the 4 main keys of pre-mortem, then I can as well. But yeah, that's something that was super valuable to me in my business. Archie, what's up, bro?
Yeah, I was just wondering, is there any difference in signing models from different countries? Because I've seen some like really high quality clients from like Australia or USA, but I was wondering, is there any difference between like signing one from the UK, or is that not a good idea?
There's not really a difference, but obviously there's a difference in the sense of like they're in different countries, different time zones, right, which can have an impact. For your first client, I wouldn't say it matters too much. When you start to scale, like really, like at the point where we're at, it can become difficult if you've got clients all over the world, because it just becomes hard to build like systems and processes around those clients. And like, let's just say like you're guaranteeing results for a UK model, but then for some reason, whenever you work with like a US model, it's like more difficult and you can't get results, and it just makes stuff more complex. Like, but like in reality, like it's not a big difference. Like, if you
Is it more just like the time zones?
at like the lower level, yeah, mainly time zones. And then before it was more complex because like targeting can be an issue on like marketing platforms and stuff. So like, you know, if you're signing clients from all over the world, you need almost different strategies depending on those clients. Especially with us, like all the different marketing tactics that we have, it becomes like slightly more difficult. And then even as far as like when you're at our level, like collaborations, like it's going to be super key like in the long run, where if you like for example you have all your models in the UK, you can start to get your models in the UK to start to collab with each other, whereas if you've got like a model in Germany, a model in the UK, a model in the US, like you can't really leverage and get as much out of them as possible. So it just becomes more difficult like in the long run to build systems around it, and like especially like with TikTok when it was like more difficult to like target US, whereas now it's easy, like it doesn't really make much of a difference, which is why we're actually starting to kind of pivot and go outside of our client avatar, which is like UK models. We are looking into, we did sign a Australian model the other day, just to sort of like test out to see what the crack is. But yeah, it can just become difficult in the long term of like building systems and teams around different time zones and different models and different targeting when it comes to your market. Because yeah, but like I said, TikTok now, if you want to target the US, it's fucking easy because they've now added that location feature where once you post, you can literally just add the location that you want that post to be targeted to, which is sick. But yeah, like I said, if you're just starting, then yeah, it's not a big deal. If you can deal with the time zones, then that's probably going to be your only big overcome when you're just starting out. Unless I'm missing anything. Steve, have you got any other reason that you would potentially?
No, I think for me, like my very first client was in the States, and it was just about adapt and survive basically. So we had to basically, I know every time zone now. I know where everything is. I know the time in every country all the time. It's actually miserable. It's just become part of my life, and like, but like that initial absorbing, man, you need to accept that if your model's in the States and most of our fans are in the States, because understanding the fan profile is extremely important. So if most of the traffic's coming from the States, their active time, when is their active time? I'm going to use a phrase that we use in my agency, right? When is dick in hand time? Dick in hand time is 9 p.m. and 9 p.m. in the States is not 9 p.m. in the UK, it's 2 a.m. So your active sales time is between 2 and 5 a.m. effectively, and you need to be willing to absorb that if you're going to be doing that chat. Or importantly, you need to be willing to then find charters that are going to do that shift that are available at that time as well. For so you, it's all about a forward planning. Like, are you first of all willing to do the thing that is necessary to succeed with a model who has fans in that time zone, if that's where you're targeting? And realistically, that's where you should be targeting. The US is one of the best markets to target, which means you realistically then need to prepare to be active at 2 a.m. if you want to make real cash, because that's 9 p.m. for Eastern Standard. 4 a.m. is 9 p.m. on the Pacific Standard Time as well. So like you've got that massive window there, that chunk of time between like 2 and 4 a.m. is the big sales time. So are you gonna go for that, or are you gonna target UK fans with the UK model, which I've done, and then nine to like 12 is a great time, and that's obviously on your time. So yeah, it's really just about thinking about what are you prepared to do to make money, and how does that fit around your life as well? Because obviously people have got jobs, they're trying to transition out of those jobs, like, and can you get staff to basically go along with the times that you need them to work with as well? So that those are the biggest factors I would go for. But like Dylan says there, I've built a cluster just now. I've got 6 UK models and they all live within an hour of each other. I've been building this cluster for a bit now, and I have basically made a small empire out of these 6 models. Like, I am starting all sorts of external stuff to drive traffic. I started a podcast and all sorts. It's going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks, where we've got these models going on and going together, all doing this podcast together and marketing each other effectively. And because they're all marketing each other, it's just going to cluster cash me basically. I'm going to make money 6 times on the same thing. It's one marketing strategy for 6 models. So like if you can get models together and sort of structure things, like it's only going to help you as well. So play chess, not checkers, lads.
Yeah, the long-term game is not really building OnlyFans models, but building social media influencers. Like you want to build brands. Like you don't want to just build like that like just OnlyFans girl that is only known for OnlyFans, that is like looked at as like deemed like slutty and all this kind of stuff. Like yeah, it can work in short term, but like you want to actually build long-term like social media brands around these influencers. And that's ultimately like going to be how you keep like the money coming in long term, and they don't have like fall off periods. And it's a big thing. And then the last thing I'll leave you guys with is like everyone in you should design a client journey So like when you're starting your business, your client journey flow is like super important. And that what that means is like you from the time where you onboard a client, serve a client, and then offboard a client and potentially upsell a client, you need that entire process mapped out, right? So like you need to break down all the stages of a client experience. So what would the flows be? The opportunities to optimize, the tasks to delegate, the team members that you need to hire. You want to map all this out like early on. Like even though you might not necessarily do it, you need to have that vision of what the business can be like and what the client journey flow can be like. Because the goal should be sustainable scale. Like the issue is people, if you don't design your client journey map, you could have tremendous scale where you just fucking skyrocket to making 100 grand a month, but then you can fall off and you're making nothing. So the goal is sustainable scale. It's going to be better to go 10k, 20k, 30k, 40k, 50k a month, rather than going like 100k a month and then dropping down to zero, right? Or just never scaling at all, right? So sustainable scale is going to be key. Then you want to create that client journey flow. So like, block out 2 hours in your calendar, hop on a call with your team, or if it's just you, break down every step. And then it's going to be important so in the long run, like, right, all the things that you need to build on your back end. And if you don't like take the client journey flow seriously, then you're going to be sort of stuck or having a hard time when it comes to actually scaling. So that's going to be like the main thing, is just designing that entire flow of like how it should work. And I can drop a template in the chat after this call for you guys to look at. But it's just going to be key of like designing that entire flow of what your client's journey looks like, what your agency's journey looks like, and sort of going from there, as going in super in deep into the onboarding process. Like, how does that work? Like, are you sending them through a funnel? Like, have you got someone that calls them to do XYZ? Like, if they go sign a contract, fill a form, join a group, book a call, like, what does that look like? And then the delivery, like, what does that look like? How do they receive support? Like, what is the support team like? Do you need to build a support team out? Like, what's the kickoff call look like? Like, how does the strategy sessions look like? What is the like breakdown for the launch? Like, what's the 90-day game plan? Like, all these things, like just breaking it down, everything. And what are your admins, tasks, and receivables? So like, do you send invoices every 7 days? Like, do you send them monthly? Like, do they have to put a payment down before they join? Like, how do you charge the client? What do you do for client wins, testimonials, like all these types of things, like expenses, finances, and then offboarding, like once they want to leave, like do you have a 7-day period that they have to give you a 7 days notice before they leave? Like you want to design that entire like client journey flow from the start, because that way it's just going to make your life a lot easier. So yeah, hopefully you guys got some value from this. I'll update the call recording, send it in the group chat, and I'll drop that client journey flow map. But yeah, I got a dip. So yeah, hopefully you will find some value, and yeah, speak to you guys soon. Peace.
Cheers, man. Speak
Cheers,
soon.
man.